More of your calls right now. Let's say hello to Doc Jet fan who's next. Hey, Doc.
Hey, good morning, guys. Thanks for taking the call. How are
Doc,
you, Robbie?
what's up,
I,
man?
I, I got to throw you some flowers, man, because
Yeah.
I didn't listen to the beginning of the show. I haven't been around at festivities over the weekend. But, I'm a baseball coach, and I appreciate your take. There's so many box score evaluators out there. You, I don't look for what other people look for in baseball. Like when I evaluate a pitcher, I'm not looking for what you're looking for. The perfect example, a guy I know who coaches football, he's talking about Jim Leonard. And he says, I don't care what Jim Leonard's 40 time is. He processes the play 2, 3 tenths of a second quicker than anybody else. And that's what's going to make the difference on certain coverages. So, the things that you're looking for, I really appreciate it. I think you've done a great job with respect to getting this chat room. The people that have been paying attention, to the draft, getting us ready to see what's what. So thank you for that.
Thanks, man. Appreciate it. It just people take it too personally. I don't understand why, and it's tough to explain sometimes. I'm trying to explain it in the most relatable way, but defensively speaking, because that's basically what I coach. I have what I start with is the responsibility and the keys on each play. What were they asked to do? Do they carry it out with focus and really care about it? And if they don't, what they get outside of that structure is questionable to me because that's not how it's going to be at the NFL level. And the box score scouts aren't going to like that because the stats won't be there. Now, again, Reese is not the perfect prospect. No one's claiming he is. But that's just where the process goes. And when I look for that, I see Reese, who really has an attention to detail, who keys in on his reads, doesn't get distracted, and does so much more above and beyond his responsibility that it's insane to me. How he
Well,
set up Sonny in a lot of ways is mind-boggling. And I'm not trying to trash Sonny. I'm not as high on him as the general consensus right now. I would still draft him in the first round. But yeah, no, Reese, I think he's the far superior player.
I get it. I mean, you know what? There's no box score for selfishness, but we know. We know when somebody's being selfish and when they're setting somebody else up to succeed at their own expense or otherwise.
Yeah.
That's culture. That's winning football, and that takes something. You have to know something about the game and what you're trying to accomplish to appreciate that. It's subtle. It's
I,
nuance.
I'd say this too. 20 years ago, it would be a lot closer in my mind, Bailey and Reese, because there were a lot more longer developing pass plays. There were a lot more plays where it wasn't three-stepping out. It wasn't quick. You knew you could have a guy inserted, pin his ears back, and get the quarterback. Today, with scrambling quarterbacks, with RPOs, with screens, bubbles, the evolution of this sport where defenses have to play even more defensive and can't attack and can't dictate terms, you have to be multiple. When you're rushing the passer against the Bills, you're never just rushing the passer. You're also containing. You're also
Containment.
responsible for lanes because you can't let Josh Allen outside. And if he does, he'll cripple you. It's a different game. And if you really want to understand that, watch a Jim Leonard defense from Denver last year. Watch McDonald last year, who didn't have a high sack guy. And that's just the way it's going. I think Reese, playing in space, being able to tackle, having an edge who could play in space, do a little covering, bubble, curl to flat, key the reads, on top of having pass rush potential, which not just potential, he did it in college. He just didn't do it the number of times Bailey did. And he
Right.
did it against better competition. But those things are invaluable. And no one is understanding this, how important those things are.
I wouldn't say nobody, but I bet you if you never say Reese and Bailey in the same sentence again, you'll be just fine. But you have time for a quick draft story? It's relatively hysterical. So it's the mid '90s, and back when the draft was in New York. Always, it used to be at Radio City.
miss it.
Sometimes
Yeah, I
it
miss
used to
it.
be at the Felt Forum, which was now I guess the Paramount Theater at Madison Square Garden.
Yeah.
But I'm there with a buddy, And everybody's pretty juiced up. We were semi-juiced up, but not as much as your average Jet fan there. And there was a guy named Len Berman who was the local anchor on NBC with Chuck Scarborough and Katie Simmons, but he was the not Chris Berman. Every time I tell the story, everybody thinks Chris
I know.
Boomer.
I know Len Berman.
Len Berman. So he sees that we're relatively adult. He starts talking to us about the draft, and we were pretty prepared. I mean, we used to, really study this stuff. And I was talking about, now I'm blanking on the guy's name, Warren Sapp. Talking about Warren Sapp and how explosive he was, how strong his hands was, and Len Berman says to us, you guys are perfect. I want to put you guys, as soon as the Jets make their pick on the air, we're going to pan to you with this handheld camera, and we'll discuss it. You'll tell us what you thought, because I appreciate your maturity. So, Rozelle gets up and he announces with the 10th pick in the 1996 draft or whatever it was. The camera's on us. New York Jets select Kyle Brady, tight end of Penn State. And me and my friend both look at each other and say, those stupid motherfuckers. And all of a sudden you see the light bulb on the camera go down. The camera swings down. Len Byrne just shakes his head. He goes, thanks for nothing, guys. I appreciate it. But as he's walking away, he says, and I agree with you on Warren Sapp. You guys are right. And the rest was history. Kyle Brady didn't make it more than a couple of years. The Jets went to Jacksonville, and Warren Sapp went to Canton. So that was our Jet draft. As you prepare to go to Pittsburgh, have a great time. Thanks for all you. And Jake, listen, I love the show. Obviously, I'm on, talking to you and listening all the time. Thanks for everything you've done for this community, and we appreciate both of you. We really do.
Doc, you're the best.
Thanks,
and the shirt you won in the raffle, I ordered it yesterday, so you should have it next week at some time.
Thanks so much, guys. Enjoy. Have a great time.
Doc Jet fan checking in. I pulled up the infamous, every Jet fan knows this video, Jet draft blunder video, but they have specifically the Kyle Brady pick, so I'll play this. Doc Jet fan, are you one of the people here?
Jets select tight end from Penn State, Kyle Brady.
Pop the champagne. Pop the champagne.
First real upset, I think, at this point in the draft.
My high school coach, Keith Olsemer, who's still coaching at DV, unbelievable. Geez, 30 years later, was Kyle Brady's backup at Penn State. So he knew Brady, and you know what's funny? Parcells really turned him into an asset. Like he
never lived up to being a first-round tight end, though.
No, never lived up to it. But when Parcells got there, he turned him into an asset, at least in terms of a blocking tight end, sixth offensive lineman type, to get that Curtis Martin going. But yeah, that's one of the brutal ones for sure.
This is the best one. The Jets must know something that we don't.
Yes. Is that 83?
Johnny Lamb Jones, wide receiver, Texas.
Johnny Lamb Jones, second overall, baby.
I think it's a good selection, but a very surprising one.
UCLA running back Freeman McNeil.
McNeil
That
had
was
a good
actually
career.
a good pick. Yeah,
He had a good career.
he wasn't Lawrence Taylor, but that was a good pick.
As a season ticket holder of the Jets, I'm going to boo.
Jets take the first-round selection, quarterback. Ken O'Brien.
Rozelle knew what he was
California
doing.
Davis.
Everybody said if Marino was going to be around at that time, they take Marino. Obviously, the Jets know something that the people up here don't.
But it's a shame because Kenny O was great, but every Jet fan wanted Marino. That, of course.
Yeah, Kenny O never had a line.
Jets first-round selection, fullback. Roger Vick, Texas A&M. New York Jets first-round choice. Jeff Lageman, linebacker, Virginia.
It's obvious to me right now that the Jets just don't understand what the draft's all about.
The New York Jets select Blair Thomas, running back, Penn State.
Don't take a running back at 2, folks.
The New York Jets select Johnny Mitchell, tight end, Nebraska.
So New York becomes tight end.
The New York Jets select tight end from Penn State, Kyle Brady.
Ladies and gentlemen, our first real upset, I think, at this point in the draft.
Look at that neck on Brady. Jeez.
Amazing.
Yeah, dude.
We need an updated version. Where's Darren Lee,
D. Milner,
Christian Hackenberg, D. Milner,
Robertson?
Oh, there's so many.
Vernon
Golston.
Tagliabue couldn't hold a candle to how Rozelle set it up. Like, Rozelle knew exactly what he was doing. The New York Jets select tight end and waits 5 seconds. Nothing like Radio City Music Hall or when was it, in the Paramount before that? Is that what Doc said?
I don't remember. I only started watching the draft when it was at Radio City.
Me too. Already. Yeah, me too. When the draft was on the weekend, Saturday.
It was just all day. All 7 rounds were one day.
At noon it started. I loved it, honestly. Saturday and Sunday.
Sheridan Hotel, Tommy says.
Yes, that's right.
I wish it was back at Radio City. That would be. They should bring it back there for 1 year. They never will, because they could get 500,000 people to come into a city, so every team is bidding on it that can't get a Super Bowl. So they want the draft so they can bring in all this business to their city. But man,
yeah, at least Jets fans had the torture chamber that was go to Radio City Music Hall and get ready to just fall apart. That's no longer, no Super Bowl and no Radio City, no draft.
Better memory for Jet fans.
Yeah, Gary V. I know Gary V would be on the updated version. Was it the Sanchez pick?
Gary V's in a lot of the old, like not old, but like the mid 2000 ones. Like here's the Jets trading up to take Sanchez.
Yeah.
Cleveland traded the 5th pick to the New York Jets. And with the 5th pick in the 2009 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Mark Sanchez.
Gary V didn't like the pick. Look, it's Gary V right there.
There he is.
Some happy, some sad.
The New York Jets select Ty Simpson.
The Jet fans are smart. They're tough, but they're smart. They're cheering this pick.
Almost cheered. That's good.
Sanchez is one of the toughest to evaluate because, on the surface, he didn't work out. But again, he was part of those teams. So what can you say, really? How much can you crush it?
New York Jets. There's just a video. New York Jets fan flew their picks. I'm in.
Well, guys, NBA draft last night. The New York tabloids and Knicks fans.
To the Porzingis.
Oh, yeah. The crying kid.
Mark Sanchez.
Let's play for the beginning.
The New York Jets select Mark Sanchez.
Now let me put my New York hat on for a moment and interpret this reaction.
The New York Jets select
Wayne.
Geno Smith.
Geno coming full circle.
How about that? I didn't realize Wayne was the one who announced Geno's pick.
He told me it is the only time he got booed as a Jet in his career. And he really, I told him, he didn't get booed. He just heard a smattering of boos.
People are cheering.
They go ahead and do it.
Yeah.
The New York Jets select Sheldon Richardson, defensive tackle, Missouri.
The irony is Sheldon won Defensive Rookie of the Year. So who's this jabroni that's upset?
I don't know. But, Rex really went crazy with those interior linemen for a few straight years.
I could do this all day. Oh, it's fun.
Yeah, for sure.
Well, I want to find the Revis, like when the Jets trade up. There it is.
That one's not seen as much.
Let the crowd come to life. Listen.
Yeah, the Mangini Mikey T combo. That was the rebirth.
First New York pick announced by the new commissioner. That looks like Joe Namath. Well.
Was this still Tagliabue? Yeah, right.
No, it's Goodell.
Oh, is it really?
7.
This
is
is
the Revis pick.
With the 14th pick in the 2007 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Darrell Revis, cornerback.
You didn't know what to do.
The New York Jets traded up to draft a Hall of Famer.
Hell of a pick.
Let's do one more here. Jets draft Nick Mangold.
I'll tell you, the brick draft, we don't hear that one a lot because everyone wanted Bush or Liner or Vince Young.
In the 2006 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select DeBrickashaw Ferguson, offensive tackle.
A lot of Jet fans wanted Bush. There's Gary V again. Gary V, like
he was right.
University of Virginia.
That Matt Leinart, yep.
Yeah. It takes cojones, Mangini, to not draft a quarterback.
Wait a little bit. Here's DeBrickashaw Ferguson with an arm span, but probably
Gary V
could go left to right here in Radio City Music Hall. And you know what? I actually thought people would be jumping off the balcony. Why didn't they pick the quarterback? Seems like the Jet fans, at least here, like the call.
Yeah,
they've been hearing all the criticisms of Matt Leinart for months as well, Chris. You talk about arm strength. I think that's what scared off the New York Jets. The fact of the matter is, they're playing in the Meadowlands in cold weather and wind. Can he cut through the
Kuiper's
wind?
such a legend, man. He's been doing it so long.
The talent around him at USC. I don't buy into that. In terms of DeBrickashaw Ferguson, now pass protection of Ferguson critical for Ramsey and Pennington.
Jet fans are awaiting the second first-round pick of the Jets. They went to DeBrickashaw Ferguson on the line. I wouldn't be surprised to see him do line again. Remember, they lost Kevin Mawai.
Yep.
With the 29th choice in the 2006 NFL Draft, the New York Jets select Nick Mangold, center from Ohio State.
Not messing
Well,
around.
that's a direct replacement.
Oh, yeah.
Left tackle,
Team history, you could
center.
argue.
After Pro Bowl years
Left
for the
tackle,
Jets.
center. Let's go. It's wild. Douglas tried it. The Jets pretty much have cornerstones on the old line, and it doesn't work the same way it used to.
What a draft. RIP Nick Mangold, man.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
terrible. All right, Asmaniacs, listen up for a second. No matter what you're watching, whether it's New York sports or any game you didn't plan on caring about, there's no better way to stay locked in than with PrizePicks. It's daily fantasy made simple. You're just picking more or less on player projections. That's it. No complicated lineups, no nonsense. Just you versus the numbers. And here's why I love it. Even if it's a game you normally wouldn't care about, once you got a lineup going, you're locked in. Every play matters, every drive matters, every at-bat matters. I've been mixing sports too. Maybe a little football, throwing some baseball, maybe some basketball, and now you've got action across the board all night, and PrizePicks makes it even better with features like early cash outs if your picks are hitting, the ability to mix multiple sports in one lineup, and you can even see what other people are playing and tail their picks. So if you haven't tried it yet, what are you doing? Download the PrizePicks app right now. Use code HMA. That's HMA, and you'll get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Again, it's HMA on PrizePicks. PrizePicks, where it always feels good to be right. Joe, I'm going to play you right now a report from Connor Hughes of SNY discussing what he believes the Jets are currently working on in regards to moving up in this draft Thursday night.
Yeah, I've talked to some teams that are picking in front of the Jets, and they've said they've talked to Darren Muji, who's done some original preliminary conversations about what it would cost to move up. And the assumption from talking to one source specifically is that the Jets are interested in moving up for a receiver. I think there was some hope originally that Jordan Tyson, the Arizona State wideout, might fall to them at 16. Mm-hmm. It's very clear that that's not happening, Chelsea. Talking to multiple people around the league, he is the no doubt wide receiver one in this year's class. Probably the only receiver in this year's class that has legitimate wide receiver one potential. Mm-hmm. He's not going to be there at 16. So if the Jets want him, they're going to have to move up, and they have a ton of ammunition to do it. The spot I would keep an eye on is the Kansas City Chiefs at 9, because we all know, and there's rumors out there that the Giants like Jordan Tyson. So if the Jets are looking for a spot to jump in front of somebody, not have to give up too much, and ensure they get their guy to complement Garrett Wilson, that's the spot to do it.
Okay, so the Jets are doing some homework. They're making calls. And for those who aren't aware how the process works, I've heard Mike Tannenbaum say this before. Other GMs have said this. You basically get a lot of the details of the trade worked out in advance. So if the board breaks a certain way, you then already have the deal basically done. Maybe you got to sweeten something here or there, but the parameters of the trade are typically worked out in advance. I'm wearing a Darrelle Revis t-shirt today. Jets traded up famously to get Darrelle Revis. Mike Tannenbaum has said before they had that deal worked out 48 hours prior to the draft. If Revis was there, the Jets were going to come all the way up and go and get him. So these things are being worked out as we speak. We got just 2 days to go till the draft. But what do you think of the idea of the Jets coming up for a weapon, Joe? Let's start there.
Yeah, for a weapon in general, I'm very down for it. Obviously, we'll hit on Tyson in a little bit. A lot of the talk has been about Tate, and I'm very willing to move up for Tate. I'm definitely a little bit more of an outlier with Tate, with how much I like him. He's my second overall player in the draft for the Jets. Not by just their position, because I think like Downs is a better player than Tate, right? But in terms of value and all that stuff, Tate's my number 2. So if you could trade up to 7 for Tate and maybe throw in an extra 4th, I'd rather do that than a Jordan Tyson or even like a Lemon. Like, hey, if Lemon's sitting there at 12, 13, you got some inkling that maybe like the Rams or whoever else is there is going to take him. Can you flip maybe like 2 4ths or something like that for a Lemon? That's a very real possibility too. Just because like I want to legit, and I get like the talk is like, oh, the Jets can't trade up for a receiver too. My problem is with the other receivers, I think a lot of them could be 3s, right? Like I don't love Cooper. I think usually he's a late first, probably early second guy to mid second guy in most drafts. I don't love Boston. I don't love Brazel. I don't love like the second tier of options. So I feel like, and they'll be more, they'll fit more into like that receiver 3 type of category for the Jets, where I feel like the only legit guys who I know who could be legitimate receiver 2s are Tyson, Lemon, and Tate. So I'm more than willing to move up for them. I get wanting the picks and hoping that the second round pick can be some slam dunk. More times than not, they're not slam dunks. So if I could secure Arvell, Reese, or Bailey at 2 and then get a stud receiver who's going to, no doubt about it, fill that number 2 spot instead of hoping that guys in the second round can do it, I'm willing to be aggressive if I'm the Jets and get your running mate for Garrett Wilson, because he really hasn't had much help around him to take like the attention off them and things like that.
What do you make of the comments there that Connor said in all these conversations with people on the receivers, Jordan Tyson is no doubt wide receiver 1? I feel like I'm taking crazy pills when I hear that, because I think Carnell Tate's the best receiver in this class.
Yeah. Like, who was he talking to? Like, does he have 1 or 2 sources? Like, who he asked like film questions to? Like, how many people is he polling for that? Because we've been on Twitter and we've been in this draft game for 6 months now, and there are some people who have Tyson as their receiver 1. Admittedly, he's my receiver 3 with no injuries, but I recognize that he has the highest ceiling of all the receivers in the class. He moves unlike Tate or Lemon do. So if he's healthy, he gets a little bit more nuance to his route running, consistency with his route running. He definitely has the highest ceiling, but rep to rep, I didn't love his film. So he's receiver 3. So to me, he's not, no doubt about it, receiver 1. Now, if you're talking about who has the highest ceiling in the class and who could be a bona fide number 1 receiver for an offense, then yeah, sure, it's Tyson. But we don't just do evaluations based on the ceiling. Obviously, we have to consider the floor and what we saw. And to me, Jordan Tyson was receiver 3 with no injuries. With the injuries right now, and again, transparently, I'm working with little information, right? Like, I haven't seen an X-ray, I haven't seen an MRI. I'm not a doctor. I wouldn't know how to read it anyway. He's my receiver 5 because of all those injuries.
Wow.
Now, listen, but transparently, if he went to the Jets, he went to his pro day, he's healthy, he has clean medicals, easily my 3. But with the injuries, it really, really sketches me out. And this is the week of like smoke screens, and guys are being talked about higher than they're supposed to be. And Tyson was like a mid first round guy, and then he does a workout where he runs like 2 routes, and now he's talked about in the top 10. And so I don't really know exactly what to believe. I like Tyson quite a bit, but I rather trade up for a guy who hasn't missed about. Again, don't get me on the number here, but I think about 40% of his college snaps he's missed. So I'm not trading up for a guy who may not be on the field, especially with MetLife's turf, our history of injuries, which shouldn't really factor in, but it does to me. So yeah, Tyson's not the clear-cut number 1, no doubt about it. To me, that's Tate, but I think you can have an argument for either one of the top 3 guys being the number 1 in this class.
I would probably not love the idea of trading up for Tyson because of the injury stuff.
Yeah.
I wouldn't kill the Jets if they did it. They obviously are looking at the medicals more than we are. One of the hits I saw that he injured his knee on when he was at Colorado, he took like a dirty hit low to his knee. Like that could happen to any player. But, when a guy's been hurt every year he's played, that is part of the evaluation. There's no way it can't be. So We'll see what the medicals say. Again, he wasn't healthy enough to participate at the combine or the Arizona State Pro Day. He did a pro day of his own a couple days back, and according to the reports, that went well. But that's against air with that routine, So there's some concerns. I find it interesting that Kansas City, though, is apparently the team to watch, according to SNY's Connor Hughes. If you're the Jets and you're trying to get up in front of the Giants now, that's a fascinating conversation, because you look at how the board could play out. You look at the draft order here. We know for a fact the run on wide receiver potentially could start at 5 with the Giants. If they don't do it there, they certainly have 10 to do it. But then you have Cleveland at 6, Washington at 7, New Orleans at 8, 9 is Kansas City, and then 10 is now the Giants. And we know they certainly are in on a wide receiver, and they've been linked to Tyson, as you heard Connor say in that report. So if the Jets want one of these guys, it does feel like they're going to have to move up, or if they're comfortable just sticking around and waiting at 16, you just don't know who's actually going to be left at that point.
Yeah. Hey, here's the deal. Just got no chance unless you click on that like button. And you got to make sure you subscribe to the Jake Asman Show. You don't, you can get the f*** out. Now let's go, Asmaniacs. We're built for this shit.